Game of Thrones. Ricky, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. A Game of Thrones movie is in the works at Warner Brothers. So Beau Willimon is set to write the script, and he apparently already wrote a first draft and turned it in. And if you don't know Beau Willimon, he wrote episodes of Andor. He wrote the movie The Ides of March, starring Ryan Gosling and George Clooney, and also wrote House of Cards. That's very encouraging, right? At least two of those three. In terms of television, at least, this guy is on one when he is writing something. And now Game of Thrones, a notably TV franchise, going to movie theaters. I kind of love this guy writing it. And obviously a high drama, but also can do IP like Star Wars, Andor, Game of Thrones movie. This is, I think, going to be the Aegon Conquest movie that has been rumored. It's been rumored as a potential film for Game of Thrones. Plot details haven't been confirmed, but Aegon's Conquest is the story about Aegon I, the founder of the Targaryen dynasty, and his conquest of Westeros a few centuries before the original Game of Thrones television series. So, Ricky, we've had prequel with House of the Dragon, focusing on the Targaryens. You have Night of the Seven Kingdoms that is happening during the Targaryen rule. This seems like, okay, you guys got two shows, let's give you a freaking movie, right? And this is the Targaryen of all Targaryens. Boom, here you go. What was your reaction when you saw, like, hey, they made a decision, Aegon's Conquest is probably going to be a movie rather than a show?
I think you kind of said it. Like, they've been teasing this Aegon's conquest of, like, we're looking at this as a potential movie, not just show, right? And we've had Game of Thrones movies in the works before. We have Jon Snow and others, right? And whether they're going to be movies or TV shows and whatnot, there have been rumors, there have been hints, there have been works, drafts, and whatnot. But this one's legitimate. This one's actually seems like it's going through. Now, obviously, with the Paramount Warner Bros. Merger, that makes things a little murkier. But the thing is, Paramount will not say no to any Game of Thrones. They're going to try to keep things separate. And also, David Ellison is all about the IP. So I wouldn't worry about that from a merger perspective. Just overall, like, I think this is great because Game of Thrones on the big screen, that's the next step, I think. Because are we going to get another Game of Thrones, like series like Game of Thrones? No, House of the Dragon's proof of that. I don't know if we'll ever get a Mad King type of show, Jamie killing I don't think that will ever work out like we think it will. So why not try something new and different, but also formidable with a great writer? And Game of Thrones is always, those casting directors are the best in the game. They are unbelievable at casting people, a la Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So, and Game of Thrones, obviously. So I have full confidence in a movie over a show with this.
I like the idea of making a movie because I think it's also it's time, or it's like you have your Game of Thrones, you have your prequel that basically is just like a smaller, it's not smaller, but more Targaryen focused version of Game of Thrones with House of the Dragon. You have shown that you can do a spin-off that is focused on a hedge knight with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Like, Game of Thrones is hot right now, and they're looking to have a bounce back season for House of the Dragon. Even if the House of the Dragon season 2 didn't live up to expectations, like, the viewership is high. Like, people love this stuff. There is a fandom. And I think just like Night of the Seven Kingdoms, you took a chance and that worked. This story you think might be suited better for movies. Yes, I say go for it. But what is the stipulation? Who has to be involved with this movie? One, George R.R. Martin. He must be involved with this creative process. He hasn't been involved with House of the Dragon. He wasn't really involved that much with House of the Dragon season 2. Obviously, he had not written the end of Game of Thrones, right, for when Bran becomes king and all that stuff happens. And George R. R. Martin insists he wouldn't have done that. We'll see. I don't know. I'm interested to see what he actually writes. I might actually read enough to actually, catch up. And I'm like, George R. R. Martin, like, release the ending. But I think this guy needs to be hands-on because you saw what he did when he was passionate like he was with Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And this is a big deal where Game of Thrones fans are probably licking their chops right now in terms of people that read like A Song of Ice and Fire and that know everything George R. R. Martin and know that world the way that some people know Tolkien's world, right? I think that this is cool because it's just kind of expanding and kind of taking the IP in a different direction. And you can cast like movie stars now. Like you don't like think about House of the Dragon, and then you have it's a lot of it's like young people that they turn into stars. But now it's like you're making a movie, you need someone to beat Aegon. Like you can get a sick actor to do this, bro. You know, and it could be. I don't know what their goals are, but it seems like a big enough story where it is kind of like big in scale in terms of like Lord of the Rings or something like that. I want to see that on the big screen. I want some actors like A-list actors in this shit.
I think I think you might need one or two. Like look at Game of Thrones season one. Like you had Sean Bean, but then after that, like you didn't have formidable.
But it's like a movie. Like you need a guy.
Right. No. But hear me out. You had Sean Bean, but then you didn't have a lot of formidable actors around him. I think for a movie, you level up from a Sean Bean. No offense, Sean Bean, to an A-lister as your lead, but then you surround him with B and high C level actors
Okay.
all around, right? So then these other characters can be their actual characters and not just actors, right? Because like I don't know, like it shows with big ensembles and IP, right? You want those actors to be like that's Legolas or whatever at the time. I don't know. That's a bad example. I'm trying to think of a better example. Like Gimli, I don't know that actor's name. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Those guys, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Orlando Bloom, like it's weird with Pirates of the Caribbean at the time. It's
I'm
weird.
saying like Aegon, like the guy who's gonna lead
Aegon's
the
got to be
Game
a
of
guy.
Thrones movie.
He's got to be a guy.
Because like the Aegon's conquest, right? So he was Aegon the Conqueror, first king of Westeros, united 6 of the 7 kingdoms in a 2-year campaign aided by sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys and their dragons Balerion, Vagar, and Meraxes.
So sick.
Dragons uniting 6 of the 7 kingdoms. This is gonna be huge in scale.
Only 2 years, so it helps with the movie too.
Using overwhelming air superiority, he created the Iron Throne. He created the Iron Throne from defeated enemy swords and founded King's Landing.
The ending is going to be him sitting on the throne he creates.
This is worthy of making a movie. You can make 3 movies on this. This could be a trilogy of movies. This is so big in scale, and this is probably the story when you look at what George R. R. Martin has written, you look at his lore, and you're like, what would you make a movie about? That Iron Throne is the symbol of television for the last 20 years. The symbol is that Iron Throne. And you're like, how did that come to be? Why did that shit become so important? This is so worthy of making a movie, dude. I can't, the more I read about this, the more jacked up I am. This does deserve to be a movie. You can't make a show about this. The stakes are as high as ever.
Game of Thrones is ready for the next step. I think the fandom has shown that they're going to stick with them even after a poor end of this Game of Thrones, even after House of the Dragon week end of the season 2. They stuck with you in Night of the Seven Kingdoms when the core characters are Hedge Knight. We're ready for a movie. And also, the actual IP, the story here is ready for the big screen, right? You have that combination. My God, let's do it. Like, let's not waste time. Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. All right. Game of Thrones movie in the works. And I think Ellison said that once this merger goes through, they want to be making 30 movies a year at least. That's what he said. And you said he loves IP. Boom. This is it. You're going to be the guy who turns Game of Thrones into expands it into like a movie franchise. Dude, so many possibilities.